All right, Ralph back again. And last stream I was talking about why mindset is so important. What I thought I'd do in this evening stream is to just talk about the reason, the metaphysical relationship of mind and matter, because this goes a heck of a lot deeper than most people realize. And this is wisdom that, again, this is nothing that I invented, this is nothing that I dreamed up. This is stuff that literally goes back thousands of years. Excuse me. You can see these concepts expressed in the Jewish scriptures, the Christian scriptures. It goes back even further back in history in the Hindu scriptures. It's taught about in Buddhism. It's taught about in the New Thought community. It's talked about by Wayne Dyer. Everyone from Lao Tzu to Wayne Dyer's been talking about this stuff. And yet, it's still, even now in the 21st century, we are not aware of the implications that this has, the metaphysical relationship of mind and matter. And it all starts, we can start this talk out with going back to Albert Einstein. Beginning of the atomic age, the theory of relativity, and that era of human history when Einstein came up with his theory of relativity, and then other scientists worked on that and used it to create the world's first atom bomb. It really states it's a very simple, very eloquent three-part formula. Energy equals matter times the speed of light. So you got energy, matter, speed of light. How do we set goals? Interesting, isn't it? We think of a goal, we put our mental and personal, heartfelt energy into it. We want to manifest it on the material level. We take this dream, we state it as a goal, and then we attach a time period to it. This is spoken of by Napoleon Hill, too. But no, let's go back to Einstein. Energy equals matter times the speed of light. Now, what does this mean? It means all physical matter is energy. Even now, in the 21st century, we are completely unaware of it. Most of us operate not according to the physics of Einstein, but we tend to think and operate according to Newtonian physics. To Newton, all matter was matter. Matter was made up, big chunks of matter were made up of tiny chunks of matter. And he thought that, matter makes up the universe, and, talked about the building blocks of matter. To Einstein, matter is energy. It's like, you can think of this club, this retractable club that I have. I bought this a few years ago when I was out walking. I was getting harassed by some really mean old hound dogs that one of our neighbors had. And I couldn't get close to the house to tell the neighbor my problem because the hound dogs were harassing me. They wouldn't let me anywhere near the house. So I began to think, I'm not going to let these dogs stop me from walking up the hill past the house because I like to go out on morning walks. So what I did is I bought this retractable club. I thought, if the dogs aren't afraid of me, maybe if I whip out this retractable club and just wave it out in front of their noses, they will understand that. And yeah, it worked. It did. But yeah, most people would think about this nice, solid, retractable club. I can easily use this to break glass jars. I could use this to fracture my own skull if I wanted to. They think of this as solid matter, right? And that's what Newton would say. This is just solid matter. Einstein would look at this and he'd say, okay, this is energy that's held into a certain form by energy and vibration. And Max Planck took this a step further. He may have been, he was working in the same mind stream as Einstein was, but he said physical matter per se does not exist. All matter is actually energy that is held into certain vibratory patterns by a divine mind. And this divine mind is the matrix of all matter. So, yeah, Einstein, about the beginning of the 20th century, was running around saying that all energy is matter. And he was using that equation, energy equals mc squared, to be talking about time, space, energy. They used Einstein's work to build the world's, modern humanity's first atom bomb. But we should be well aware, even right now, that all matter is energy. But most people are just blissfully unaware. We're trapped in the rock's hard, solid state of Newtonian physics. We think that matter is matter. This steel is steel. A rock is rock. But actually, steel is steel. But at its deepest level, steel is actually energy. Rock is actually energy. You and I, our physical bodies, are energy. Our spirits, our thoughts, our feelings, they're all energy. So, this begs the question, if all matter in the universe is actually energy, how can our emotions, how can our thoughts influence the world around us and the universe around us? Is there a relationship that our thoughts have on our outer lives? And I think once we learn to become aware of our inner thoughts through meditation or other spiritual practices, we can begin to harness those thoughts for good and let that become our superpower. Begin to become more consciously aware of the role that our thoughts play in shaping the world around us. There's another spiritual text that I love to read. This one comes from the early days of the 20th century. It's a great little metaphysical, hermetic text called the Kybalion. And this was written by a guy, Atkinson, I think. I forget his first name. But he wrote under the pen name The Three Initiates. He also wrote under the pen name Yogi Ramachakra, I believe. And I've got a lot of his books. But one of his books that he wrote was the Kybalion. Very thin little text. You can probably sit down and read it cover to cover in a couple of hours. You can probably shoot through it in one night. If you got insomnia, you want to stay up late reading. It's a great little book, but a lot of wisdom that's packed into this hermetic new thought text. And it's sold under, both headings, hermeticism and new thought. There's a relationship there between the two of them. But what the Kybalion states, and this was written back before the time of the atom bomb. But Atkinson realized that the energy is matter. Now, I think he probably read about this. He said he read about these things in Eastern thought. And I think he probably did a deep dive into Hinduism or Buddhism. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. The source really doesn't matter. It's the message that matters. But he began to realize, even before the days of the atom bomb, that all matter is actually energy. And he did a deep dive into this. He then began to ask the question, if all matter is energy, then what kind of energy is matter made of? And if the universe is the creation of the mind of God, a divine source, then how does the divine source create the universe around us? What kind of energy does the divine source use to create the universe around us? And creation is more than just a one-time deal. There's creation, and then there's recreation, and then there's the act of keeping creation in place and growing and developing and evolving. So yeah, creation is a multi-step process. It's not just a one and done deal. But anyway, yeah, Atkinson in the book The Kybalion, he meditates very deeply on this, and he comes to the conclusion in very short order that the universe is mental. Doesn't mean that the universe is crazy. It means that the universe is mental. The universe is made up of energy. We know that. They proved that when they exploded the first atom bomb. We now see this taking place in atomic reactors. We now know that, there's atomic energy, there's antimatter energy, there's electrical energy, there's all kinds of energy. But what kind of energy specifically is used to create the universe around us? And in the Kybalion, the writer comes to the conclusion that the universe is mental. The universe is made up of thought energy. And he went a few steps further, said that the universe is actually the creation of God, or the divine source, however you want to understand this. And this divine source thinks the universe into creation. And this is stated in the book of Genesis. God looks upon the universe. There's darkness all around. And then God speaks everything into creation. God says, "Let there be light." And behold, there was light. God speaks the universe into creation in the book of Genesis. Okay, what are words? Words are spoken thoughts. Words are thoughts that are put into action through being vocalized. So yeah, you have a thought, you vocalize it, you speak it into creation, and that is how God in the book of Genesis creates the universe. He speaks creation into being, and then it is. And that's what the Kybalion states, is that the universe is mental. Everything that we see around us, everything from this old glass jar, this old coffee jar, to this little dog swatter that I bought here. Use this to scare away dogs that don't like to do any actual harm, though. And this coffee cup, all this rock solid matter, all the world around us is actually energy. And the Kybalion states that more specifically, it's thought energy. Max Planck would be in agreement, I think, with Atkinson in this matter by saying that all matter is actually, it exists. It's energy that is held into certain vibratory patterns by a matrix created by a divine mind. And he assumes the existence of a divine mind, very much like Atkinson does in his book, the Kybalion. And so, yeah, there is a big relationship, a great relationship between energy and matter and thought. Now, if God has the ability to think the universe into being just by thinking about it, putting thoughts into action, actively thinking and speaking the universe into creation, if all matter is actually energy, can we affect matter with our thoughts? I'm not going to go on the really deep dive and say, why can't we just manifest through mental energy? I want strawberry ice cream and I want it in my hands right now. Where's my ice cream? Have not been able to master that trick yet. Very few people have, but there are people out there that can do that. I've heard of yogis in India that can just, they have a blanket underneath them where they're sitting, they're teaching, and they reach under that blanket and they throw apples out to the crowd that's listening to the teaching. And yeah, he'll just pull out an endless supply of apples and begin throwing them out to the people listening to him teaching. And people will pick up the blanket. They'll see there's no apples there. Somehow he was able to manifest apples where there were no apples. Story of Jesus in the Gospels, taking a few loaves of bread, a couple fishes, and using that to feed 5,000. Some accounts, I think 10,000, 30,000. A large number of people with just a little bit of food. He was able to multiply that. He was able to manifest that through thought, through faith, through belief. He knew that he could conceive it. He believed it. He achieved it. Going back to Napoleon Hill. But yeah, what relationship do our personal thoughts have on the world around us? Well, this takes me to the last guy I'm going to talk about, Dr. Emoto, a Japanese water scientist born back in the early days of, well, the mid-20th century, the early days of the atomic age, 1947, died in 2014. But he believed there was a relationship between mind, feelings, emotion, and matter. And he thought he designed an experiment that was designed to see if our thoughts, if our feelings, if our emotions could have an effect on water. And he did a lot of time experimenting with water. And you look him up online, Dr. Emoto, Japanese water scientist. That's how I found him originally. And he's got a book out, The Hidden Secrets of Water, I think it's called, but I've got it on Kindle. I need to find that book out, dust it off, and electronically speaking, and get back into it. But what Dr. Emoto did is that he would take water from the same source, and he would break it up into two parts. And one part he would expose to positive emotions, nice music, prayer. He would speak to it. I love you. You're beautiful. You're a nice glass of water. You're so sweet. We love you. Oh, I could just drink you up. And then he would take that water. He would freeze it, let it crystallize. And then he would look at those ice crystals under a microscope. And the ice crystals that were formed from the water that was exposed to positive mental energy, positive emotional energy, good vibrations, as the Beach Boys would say. Those crystals were beautiful, like snowflakes. And then he would take the other sample of water, taken from the same water source, and he would let people yell at it, scream at it. You're ugly. You're terrible. I hate you. What are you so wet for? Blah, 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 blah. Just expose it to all the kind of angry, negative energy. And then he'd take that sample of water, freeze it, let it crystallize. Look at the crystals under a microscope, and the crystals would be ugly. I mean, misshapen, malformed. And what was the difference? Two bits of water from the same water source, but they were both treated differently. One was exposed to good vibrations, nice thoughts, peaceful emotions, positive music, and then the other was given all the negative energy. And the crystals were ugly. And you can think about this in our own lives now in the 21st century. Do we listen to nice, peaceful music? Or do we listen to angry music? I don't want to pick on rap specifically because there are good rap songs out there, but there's a lot of negative rap songs too out there about, gang banging, killing people, and F the police and all that stuff, And what kind of music do we listen to? What kind of media do we listen to? What kind of energy do we allow into our lives to influence our personal emotional energy? It all has a bearing on the matter, because you think about the water experiments that Dr. Emoto did, not so long ago. He just died relatively recently. That has an important meaning because water makes up, I think we're 80% water. Our brains are 80% water. The most of our world is about 80% water. And what is water made up of? Well, water is made up of hydrogen, 2 parts hydrogen to 1 part oxygen, I believe. And this is important because hydrogen is the most abundant element in the known universe. So if our thoughts, if our feelings, if our emotions, if our mental states can have an effect on water, hydrogen in material form, then what effect can our emotions have on hydrogen in the air around us? That's a great Phil Collins song. I can feel it coming on the air tonight. Hold on. Yeah, air can transmit energy, feelings, thoughts, emotions from one person to the other. In metaphysical circles, they talk about the ether, something that's even more fundamental to air that can help people transmit thought vibrations, energy vibrations from one place to another, from one mind to another. And I realize we're getting kind of deep into the woo-woo zone here, but I mean, yeah, there is an effect that all this stuff has on our reality, and Dr. Emoto demonstrated this scientifically by taking 2 samples of water from the same source, exposing one to positive energy, the other to negative energy, and then freezing them, and then seeing the physical forms that those ice crystals took and how different they were. And the only difference was between one water sample to the other water sample. The only difference was the thought and emotional energy that was projected onto that water from a third party. And if our thoughts, our emotions are so bloomin' powerful that they can affect a cup of water, imagine the power that we have to affect our own lives and the people around us. I know everybody has probably had this feeling, this experience, but somebody. Maybe you are that somebody, but we all know somebody that can just project, positive energy into the world around them. They walk into a room and it's like poetry. Poems have been written about this stuff. She walks into the room and the energy changes. Or he walks into a room and he's just so full of positive energy that everybody is affected by the energy of this one individual. And then we also probably have known people that go to the opposite extreme. They're so full of anger. They're just so angry at life and negativity that, man, it's like the energy in a room is just positive, and then this one person walks in, and then it just has a domino effect. It's like one person after another starts acting in negative emotional ways and feeling bad and thinking badly, talking badly, and the whole energy of the room just shifts from the dominant energy of this one dominant person, whether they're dominating for good or for ill. And we all have this potential. We all have the potential to affect other people through our energy vibrations that we put out into the outer world. Our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings have an effect. And as Dr. Emoto demonstrated, if our feelings, if our thoughts can affect a cup of water, how much greater of an effect can our thoughts and our energy have on other people around us? And that's the whole law of attraction thing in a nutshell, is that with our inner beliefs, with our inner feelings, with our inner thoughts, we can attract good things to come to us, or we can repel good things. We can attract negative things into our lives, or we can repel negativity. Our choice. We get to choose. Most people don't know this, so most people don't consciously do this. And there is a little bit of work involved in trying to realize this and doing this on a day-to-day level. And even people who know how to do this on a day-to-day level, sometimes we forget. Sometimes we get so carried away with our own negative emotions that we put a lot of negativity out into the universe, and we don't realize we're doing it until somebody brings it to our attention, or we do some deep reading and we realize, man, I've been doing this stuff and I should know better. But I mean, there is a discipline to focusing our thoughts through meditation and other spiritual practices. In the next stream, I was going to take the weekend off, but we had the internet down for a few days, and I hate to take any more extended time off, so I'm going to go ahead and do the stream tomorrow, Saturday. But yeah, we're going to talk about how you can program yourself for success using specifically affirmations, but there are other spiritual tools that we can use too. Mindfulness meditation, japa meditation, which is mantra meditation, which actually, you think about that, same thing as affirmations. It's just a lot of the meditations that I use are in Sanskrit. But I mean, that doesn't make a lick of difference. You can use affirmations in any language. The source of all understands all languages. Understands everything on a deeper level than language. So yeah, it's affirmations. A great power in changing our life through the positive use of affirmations. But it's one trick that we can use to help us program our own lives, not be programmed by other things. It's like the music, the television programming, the stuff that we see on social media, it has an effect on us. And we can participate, we can go along with that negativity, or we can take a stand. We can say, you know what? There's a lot of negativity on social media. I am going to be a beacon of bright light on social media today. And I can do that today. I'm making that choice today. But there's a lot of wisdom, I think, in what people say, other people practice, in taking a little short vacation from social media. And I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start taking Sunday being my day of taking a break from social media and just not doing anything. Just getting back in touch with my own inner thoughts, the God of my understanding, and do my own inner programming. But yeah, we have that choice to do that, to program ourselves consciously rather than allowing ourselves to be unconsciously programmed by corporations, by other people around us, by the world around us. And when we begin to realize that power, we begin to harness that power, we can really make a huge difference in our lives. But yeah, why is our mindset so important? Why are our thoughts so important? Because there is a metaphysical relationship between thought and matter, between energy and matter. Matter is literally energy. made up of energy. And what are our emotions? Our emotions are energy. Our thoughts are energy. You know, Elon Musk wants to put a computer chip in people's brains to help them uh, be able to control computers and cell phones and stuff like that. Well, the thing is, if you learn to focus your thoughts, you can do that without a chip. No other technology is really required. And there are devices that have been invented already in which, you know, you can affect them with your thoughts. They are that sensitive. They can pick up on your mental energy. And yeah, you can make lights blink, you know, a certain color. You know, there are toys that are made out there. They're marketed as toys, but they're actually tools that you can use to help you focus your thoughts and use your thoughts to change things in the outer world. This is a possibility. People are actually doing it. People other than Elon Musk that wants to do this through technology. There are people out there doing this through their own inner spiritual technology. This is an innate ability that we all have because mind and matter are connected. I used to think in terms of wouldn't it be nice to practice mind over matter, be able to move things with my mind. Haven't been able to get that to that state yet. But then I began to realize, okay, it's not just mind over matter. It's that matter is actually mind. Matter is actually the focused energy of the mind of Source that becomes solidified into our rock solid material world. And man, I challenge you, when you see a coffee cup, no matter what's written on it, see anything in the material world, think of this as energy. Think of this as God in a cup, God's mental energy focused in such a way that it becomes so solid. We can reach out, we can touch it, we can drink from it, we can bash it with a rock if we want to. And that same rock was also fashioned in the mind of God, held into solid state by a certain vibratory pattern that is really the matrix of the universe. So yeah, what you think matters because thoughts are matter. Going back to Napoleon Hill and ending on Napoleon Hill, you know, thoughts are things. He realized this. He must have taken a deep dive into Einstein, into Atkinson, he took a deep dive into a lot of different things. Very influential thinker. But yeah, thoughts are things, and we can affect things with our thoughts. We're affecting things all the time with our emotions. Your dogs can sense it. Your cats can sense it. If you're married, there's probably your significant other can sense it. So, I mean, yeah, thoughts, feelings, emotions, they are all things. Why not use these things to create better lives for ourselves in the material world? So, that's all for today's stream. Going to sign off for now. Tomorrow, programming yourself for success, programming with affirmations. We'll be talking about that in the morning stream. And then in the evening stream, we'll talk about, I'll share some of my favorite affirmations. I've got 3 biggies. One that's kind of complicated. Another one that's pretty long. You have to read it in a book. And then another one that is just so simple, stupid easy. Anybody can do it. Anybody can remember it. And you can fashion it to anything you want. So yeah, 3 affirmations. That'll be tomorrow's night's stream. But tomorrow morning, we're talking about the importance of using affirmations to help do your own mental programming yourself. So take charge of your life. Program your own life. Don't be programmed by others. And we will see you in our program tomorrow. Ralph signing out. Thanks for dropping by. Catch you later. How do we shut this thing off? Oh, there we go.